thank you so much for joining our first series of talks. We've called it FairLeads. FairLeads is a maritime term as well. It's the first line ashore that goes through a fair lead, and on top of that, we want to be fair lead. We want to have show fair leads to startups, to investors, to people visiting our platform in a general sense. So yeah, it's called FairLeads by Marine Startups. This session is dedicated to the seafarer and companies that are kind of using technology to enhance the manning, the human resources, the human capital bit of the maritime industry, or the blue economy, or the ocean economy. So yeah, so this session is dedicated to that. It's my pleasure in inviting you. You're one of the first startups that are part of our FairLeads talks. We intend to do such talks in the future as well. So hopefully, yeah, we might have a follow-up call with you when we get into when Seafair grows into a bigger baby. So Marine Startups, like I said, is the vision of. Oh, okay. I just have Prithvi joining in just a minute. So Marine Startups is the vision of Dimitris. He's a brilliant innovator, software engineer, naval architect that's based out of Switzerland. Right now, he's in Greece. He aimed to make this platform to make it the largest ocean economy community and an innovation center. He brought together the team that to start off with is Dr. Christopher Clott. He's a gentleman, a very accomplished academician who's based in the US. He's had a teaching professor role in various maritime colleges all over the US, on the West Coast. Last one was on the East Coast, the Southern University of New York. Yeah, he's an excellent team member. Mr. Prithvi Puttaraju, I think he's just joining the call. He is a tech entrepreneur with a focus heavily on data science. He's got this obsessive love for the maritime industry, for the blue economy. And so he's part of this team as well. In fact, he's got his own startup called SalesSmart that kind of uses real-time data on his own custom-built AI and ML engine that optimizes voyage and basically voyage and vessel metrics, basically. So that is Prithvi. Lastly, it's me, Rahul. I'm a seafarer, sailed for about 12, 13 years. Prithvi's just joined the call. Prithvi, that's Agapitos from Seafair.
Hey, hi, Agapitos. How are you? Hi, Rahul.
I'm doing well. How are you?
Hi, Prithvi.
Hi, Dimitris. Hi.
Let me also then say a word about Captain Rahul. Captain Rahul is what I call a human battery. He's energizing everybody around him. He's so positive. He's so energetic. He's amazing. He's an amazing colleague.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dimitris. So Agapitos, I understand this bit because I was a seafarer myself, 12 years, and post that also involved heavily with the P&I clubs and a lot of clubs that were involved in seafarer claims and things like that. So I completely understand this aspect and what you're doing for the seafarer bit, because it's a completely neglected part of the shipping industry.
And this is
yes,
the reason why we assigned to him all the workload for this, because first of all, he's definitely one that can take it through, and definitely he's so much connected to it. So it made a lot of sense that Rahul gets in the helm of these talks.
Of course.
I'm blushing now. But yes, I've been post-sailing, I was involved in mentoring a lot of startups from various other industries. But with Marine Startups, now the focus is to use that experience and that expertise basically to bring it into the maritime tech space. At Marine Startups, Dimitris' original vision was, which I think you would agree, and a lot of people from this industry would agree, that it's a sector that is very opaque in its approach to innovation. We thought it was a very unidirectional approach and kind of stifles innovation if you at the rate at which it's going. This industry needs a faster rate of innovation in that sense, and we hope to kind of bring that. We hope to be that gap, fill in that gap for the industry. Our goals are to be open to the innovators and the entrepreneurs, be completely transparent to investors and our clients, whoever approaches the platform, and ultimately have our own funding and trading platform and an incubator arm in which we can assist startups at stage agnostic in that sense. So yeah, that in short is marine startups. You've seen pretty much 75% of the team now. Chris was unable to make it because he's in Texas right now with some work of his. So yeah, this is the team. This is Marine Startups. This is our vision, and I want to shift focus to you and your platform, Seafair. And yeah, please take it.
Amazing. First of all,
Dimitris, Prithvi, anything from your end before we let Agapitos be the center of attention?
No, I'm good. We'll listen.
We're all ears and eyes.
Perfect.
Amazing.
Great.
Thank you so much. It's a great honor to be having this call and chat with you guys because it's always refreshing to be with people from the maritime industry who understand what are the benefits of innovation, and not only understand but kind of push. And we really need this push in this industry because we've been used to legacy systems, practices, processes. So I guess we're all here to kind of serve the maritime economy. I am Agapitos. I'm the founder and CEO of Seafarer, and essentially we created Seafair to bring this fairness in maritime crewing. We saw this opportunity of shedding light and transparency into an opaque industry and helping this 1.6 million seafarers around the globe find the jobs that they deserve in a transparent, fair way, and also make sure that A, they don't have to bribe someone to find this job, but also B, to make sure that their skills are matched with the right opportunity. They go on the vessels where they will be able to be mentored, but they will also be able to find equipment or engines or seafarers who have similar experiences to make sure that the vessel operates in the right way. So essentially what we do at Seafair, we are a labor marketplace for the maritime industry. And this marketplace has two sides. One is the shipping company that want to find high quality seafarers. And the other side is seafarers who are looking for jobs. And we're kind of connecting these two in a very data-driven and transparent way. Obviously, one of the advantages that we offer is this transparency and let's say velocity in sourcing the right seafarers from around the globe. But also a main advantage is our ability to vet seafarers in a data-driven way. So we have these online assessments, and we also have this data-driven background checks, which give the transparency to the shipping company that I'm hiring someone who is really qualified. We're techniques that we can talk about a bit later. Software for the shipping companies. And the main advantage of this is that it's the first time that a shipping company can essentially access seafarer data from the very source, the manning agency or the seafarer themselves, and take it down to all the steps in the value chain that the seafarer has while they are on board. So this crew management software identifies the seafarer, it helps the shipping company vet them, select them, match them with the right vessel, help them with a crew change, and then take them through all the steps we need on board. This can be from MGA to rest hours to make sure that their insurance is covered. And once this is done and the shipping company appraises or evaluates the seafarer, all this data is stored in a way that helps the shipping company make a data-driven decision in terms of, do I want to rehire this person? Do I want to train them or upskill them to make sure that I retain them? So this is the added value that Seafair proposes to the maritime industry.
Brilliant. Thanks, Agapitos. To start off with, was it? I mean, Dimitris asked this question to everybody that we meet. But with AI and ML and data and all of this, do you already have a focus? Have you already built that layer into your present platform, or is that something that you plan to build? Because I mean, you're talking about maritime insights and things later that you can kind of monetize on. So is that something that you already have in terms of data that let's say a shipping company or a manning agency is approaching you for data? Are you able to see an exodus of traffic, seafarer traffic from say Philippines to India or vice versa? I mean, is that something that you have already built into the system?
That's a great point. So we do have some MVP features, some features that we're testing in terms of understanding how we can better vet seafarers and identify what is a good match for the shipping company. So I would not claim that whatever we have is a fully complete product, but we have some initial versions that shipping companies are using, and we're using data from seafarers and their collaboration with shipping companies to identify how this match can become better. So it's something that I would say is work in progress.
Okay, all right. And
so if I may ask, sorry to jump in, just to understand a couple of things. So as a use case, so if I'm a seafarer or if I'm a shipping company, can you very briefly describe the use case? So I download an app and I start putting in my data, obviously, and start putting in credentials and certifications and stuff like this. How does it work? And how does it work from the other side? How do the shipping companies access and vet those people? It requires at that point in time to gather all the information, or is the information there? More or less, if you can walk us through how it
customer journeys to understand how this product works. Let's start with a seafarer who comes into Seafair. They don't need to download an app. They just go to our desktop app or online on their mobile, and they start an application where they share their CV with us. We take this information, so we match all their sea services. We go and do background checks to verify whether these sea services are real or not. And then they need to go through a verification process where we obviously have to verify their email, but we also give them a set of online assessments that we have developed. After that, once they take the assessment, there's a score that is given to them. And based on this score, they might or might not become available on the platform. After the verification process and the vetting has taken place, their profile is what we call available on the platform. So shipping companies that might be requesting for the specific rank and the specific experiences that we have can access their profiles. This is the customer journey from the seafarer side. For the moment, we're mostly focusing on seafarers from Eastern Europe, as well as the Philippines. Now, on the shipping company journey, we essentially have two different products. One is the marketplace, where they can come in and ask us to find them a specific seafarer, rank for a specific vessel type. And then our team goes and sources all the seafarers that we have digitally available on the platform. We make sure that they're only matched with the vetted seafarers, so they can see a set of seafarers who have been vetted through our unique processes. And then if there's a match, they decide to hire them. We create the digital contracts, they sign them, and we take over the crew change process. Similar to what we would see other manning agencies doing, but without having all this physical papers and all this like slower processes. Now, there's a second customer journey for the shipping companies, which might want to come use our crew management software. We have a couple of design clients who have worked with us to go and design something that is customized for them. So they come in and tell us that, hey, this is the process that I'm actually running my appraisals, or this is the way that I measure my crew competence. So we have our features built in our platform, and they come and do their customizations. So they get access to our platform. All their crewing operations from the moment that they source the seafarers to the moment that they manage them on board. And this is what the Seafair platform is used for.
Sorry,
Is there a subscription? Is there a subscription module? Do you use kind of like a bulk subscription to a single company, or you charge per user, or how do you charge?
Sure. So we have two different models. One is for the software, where we just assign a SaaS, software as a service fee for shipping companies. And the other one is for the marketplace, where the company only pays whenever they essentially hire a seafarer from us. So it's completely free to come and place a request, review profiles, and the shipping company will only pay if they hire them through us.
Sounds pretty smart.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it sounds smart. It's something that we find fair. Like, we want to make sure that our clients get value out of what they use. Obviously, whenever we have a software client, they come and test it, they like it, so they convert into a paying client. And this is what we find fair. They get a good product, a better optimized service for their vessel management, and we obviously get paid for what we provide. And on the hiring side, if we don't do our job well in terms of not finding the best fit in the market, we shouldn't get paid. We should only get paid if we are the absolute best in the market. That's what we.
It's also smart. Yeah, it's also smart in my opinion, because it allows try before you buy, and that helps you onboard more clients than if you would go to a shipping company and say, "Hey, I have a great software, pay a subscription to give it a try."
Yeah, and what we've seen is interesting, because crew management software in the past had a huge capital expense in the beginning. So the providers would come and tell you like, yes, I'm happy to build something for you, but you need to pay me an upfront fee. And shipping companies had this decision to make in terms of like, I have no idea whether this is going to be a good fit for me. I mean, in theory, it sounds good, but my users have not used it. I'm not sure if they will like it. So it was kind of a tough decision to make. And we just wanted to disrupt this. And we can disrupt this because we obviously have a cloud-based application, which is super simple and scalable. So yeah, this is the disruption we're bringing.
That's the key, because they used to have to, the backends were supported by expensive databases that basically they were not needed at all. And it was very difficult to set up and to operate and all that. And it needs not needed, because a lot of crewing companies and shipping companies still use these systems. It's pretty expensive to run it as well, and sometimes it doesn't fit, and they have one or two or more. It gets complicated.
100%. And by the way, an interesting thing, I think, Dimitri, you will appreciate this. When we give our software to the shipping company, we also build bridges with any other ERP providers that they have to make sure that no data is lost. And once we build those APIs or those bridges, we identify things that are pretty outdated. They might be using like SQL servers that do not exist anymore, or are not supported by Oracle or whoever built it. So it has only been this interaction that has helped us understand why this legacy software is so slow to change, because the legacy system, the infrastructure itself, is extremely difficult to manage. It's not a scalable system. So we hope we're going to be able to bring this scalable, user-friendly solution to the shipping companies to help them manage their data. And obviously, I mean, every second word I use is data and technology, but we really believe in data and crewing, because it's a very complex problem to solve. Like a human who goes into a vessel, which vessel has another 25 humans, different kind of equipment, different kind of cargo. It's a very complex problem. There are too many variables to be able to make the right decision. And we've seen some amazing humans like doing great efforts into trying to identify the best possible seafarers who need to be onboarded in a specific vessel. But the human mind has like a finite capacity that cannot always take into consideration all the different variables. And especially like if we take into consideration like the complexity of crew changes and how difficult it is to find the right person, the right time for the right port, for the right vessel. So our whole idea is to bring this data, present it in the right way for the human who needs to make the final decision, and help them in their day-to-day. Like, don't replace any humans in the process, just help them with insights that are needed to make the best possible decision.
I certainly appreciate the APIs. It's something that we see all over the place where SaaS products replace legacy systems in the shipping companies. And I think gluing and getting the data off the legacy systems is definitely a very big thing. And continuing to what you just said, the variables, there are so many variables in the cruise, and I wonder how much do you parameterize those things and match humans to so get an individual person, and how does this person fits, and do you have history of and patterns that you could also use to analyze further on, and make sure that there are also cultural fits, things that are very difficult to encode or think all the time how they work out in a crew.
Yes, 100%. So what we've started doing is we have this commitment to gathering as much data as possible. So we have started gathering data from technical assessments, behavioral assessments, interviews performed by our people, psychometrics assessments, and we have tried to just store this in our database. We don't claim to have the truth for the moment. We don't know what is the perfect fit for all the unique needs, but we're gathering all this data and we'll let the data talk when it comes and when the time comes. So essentially, we're obviously viewing ages, work experience, nationalities, different crew mixes, different vessel types, incidents performed on vessels, incidents that happened on vessels, I'm sorry, making sure that people are paid the right salary that they should. And we're just gathering this data and we'll try to correlate it to find patterns. For the moment, we're still very early. Seafair was launched in July 2020. So what we're currently doing is we're just building this database. Obviously, we have some basic insights that we have managed to find out from the data that we currently have, in terms of like, did this person perform well in the interview and then on the contract they took, and does the company want to rehire them, and so on. But we're still super early in terms of amassing this data and being able to generate the insights we need. One thing we do is that we don't allow any of our clients to have a say on how we will like structure this data or like maintain this data. Most of the shipping companies want to have this flexibility in terms of like adding text form in any data format that they see, just to make it a bit more flexible and make sure that they can incorporate additional notes that they have in that. But we are pretty strict, and we have a specific commitment into gathering this data and to analyzing it. So we're not allowing our clients to do that change. It's a point of friction, I'll be honest with you, but we're really pushing back into that because it's super important to us.
Where's your team based, Agapitos?
So we have 4 locations for the moment. We have a team in New York, a team in Athens, Greece, and then Odessa, Ukraine, and Manila, Philippines.
Wow. Okay. And we solve these
complex
development
operation.
teams.
By development, do you mean software engineering?
R&D, yeah.
Yeah. So our developers are based out of Athens, Greece.
Okay.
Even though, to be honest, we're allowing remote hires for pretty much every department that we have. COVID has changed everything. We're a digital company, a startup, so like any location is okay. Time zone wise is a bit difficult, and like helping the team building its culture and DNA. But when people have the same vision and mission, and they want to hustle and are committed to this, it works out.
Yeah.
So who's the founding team? Was it only you and then you brought in the team, or was there a founding team that kind of visualized the whole thing and envisioned the whole thing?
I was the first to jump in this boat. We incubated the company with FJ Labs, which is a VC fund that invests in marketplaces. They have invested at Uber, Airbnb, Flexport, RigUp, some of the best marketplaces in the world. And I used to work there as an entrepreneur in residence and investor. And once I came across this problem and I started incubating, got super excited about it. I spent 3 weeks in the Philippines working with some local agencies, talking to seafarers, did some structured customer discovery on the ship owner side, and identified this huge pain point. So I decided to launch. And then I was very lucky to convince some of my good friends that I respect and appreciate, Byron Adoniadis, who is our CTO, and was a team lead at Bloomberg Tech in London, one of the youngest team leads in the team there. George Rovis, who was a project leader at the Boston Consulting Group, focusing primarily on maritime projects, as well as Vasilis Christofelis, who is our head of sales and has this great experience in B2B sales at companies like Microsoft, Oracle, and the likes. So we just came together, we built this, let's call it team leads, and then we broadened the team and hired some very talented people who are very committed to what we're solving. And this is one of the key things that we're looking for people who join us. It's not only to have this brilliant mind who agrees to put in the hours and is okay with the salary and everything. They really need to care about this industry. We tried with some amazing people who had the best backgrounds in terms of like startup technology. They really understood the problem. They were extremely smart, but they didn't care about seafarers. It did not really mean something to them. It's not that they were bad people. It's just that they had never been remotely close to someone who cares about the maritime industry. And this is more important than we thought in the beginning. It's not only like bringing the great minds here. You need to care about the humans. You need to care about the industry itself. For us, we've seen patterns of us having in the team like people who have worked abroad and understand this hustler mentality. Like the seafarers, they're doing this extremely difficult job for 6 months away from family in the middle of the sea, like doing a job which is like 24/7. You need to have this feeling of appreciating how difficult it is to feel homesick, to be doing this high intensity job, which is so much more high intensity than what we are doing at Seafair. And we kind of respect this and like look up to them. And I wouldn't say thank them. We're not like super close to them always, but we're inspired by them. This is important to us and we know why we're doing it. So this is a key element of being able to attract the right people and have them stay here and have them committed to what we're doing.
I can relate to that a lot, and I have to say that what you observe there is a pattern that I see as well in my software industry, which has nothing to do with people, rather with metal, but domain interest is important when you're hiring people, that they have some kind of interest in what they're going to do. It is software, of course, but you cannot be just, blind to what it does and care about what it does and have some interest in what it does. And I've hired a lot of software developers, and I can say that the best ones are the ones that really care or have some interest to get into the specific business that you're hiring for. It makes a lot of sense. How do you 100%. See competition in your area?
Well, there's several conventional, let's call them manning agencies, that are doing a pretty similar job as to what we are doing today, which is a marketplace. And they have their networks. It's a B2B industry where networks and relationships play a very significant role. And they're obviously leading this industry forward. It's difficult to break the ties, even if we believe that we have a 10x better product. We see multiple competitors focusing on sourcing. So they're trying to digitize this interaction between the shipping company and the seafarer and trying to kind of replace this physical office in Odessa, Ukraine, or in Manila, Philippines. We believe that this is important, but we believe that it's not enough when we're thinking about the value add at vetting and data-driven solutions can bring into this. And this is, I believe, the main differentiator that we have versus many other startups in the space. Our core thesis is to kind of aggregate all the seafarer data to be able to build the best vetting machines out there and be able to help the shipping companies not only in the sourcing part, but also in terms of retaining and developing the seafarers. So I'm not sure for the moment if we would call them competitors or if we could potentially call them partners, like startups that are helping with the sourcing of seafarers. But this is what we've noticed up to now.
Yeah. Actually, you pretty much answered a lot of the questions that I had. Dimitri's also asked it, but there's one thing that we see. I'm talking from a very Indian perspective, Indian seafarers. There's a lot of issue with the certification that we get, the STCW certificates, and a lot of those mandatory IMO requirements. Is there some kind of thing that you're doing with Manila, with Philippines and Ukraine, with their their agencies that are involved? I forgot the Philippines agency that looks at seafarers. But are you working with them on kind of already ratifying their certificates or documents before they come onto your platform, or do you go only by your interview and your office in these locations?
So essentially, the thing with the certificates is to make sure that the seafarer has the right certificates for the specific type of vessel, and they have not expired yet, and they're authentic, to be honest, and they have not been made up. And on this end, we have started, the Philippines has a digital database where they store unique identifiers to make sure that the seafarers have a unique ID for each certificate that they get. And we're building technology to kind of connect this to make sure that the certificate is identified and is proper. Obviously, there's a set of certificates that are issued by like the government or like these entities, and there's another set of certificates that are issued by training centers. And we are planning to get into that space, to be honest. So we're planning, we see this opportunity. Essentially, once you've connected the shipping company and the seafarer, you have a zero customer acquisition cost for training, because training is something that needs to happen and the shipping company is willing to pay for that. So there's this opportunity in terms of like building this new room in your manning agency, or this new digital room in your digital manning agency that helps you like train the seafarer. And for us, obviously there's a business opportunity there, but we also see the opportunity of like, instead of doing this training a binary thing, that the seafarer pass or not, to see this as an opportunity to gather even more data. Like, how did the seafarer perform on this training? Were they mentally there? Were they able to answer fast? Does this impact or influence their decision-making ability while they're on board? So anything that helps us gather this better intelligence of how we can help seafarers become better in their job is something that is in our roadmap. And obviously digital trainings are there too.
Yeah. So is this a custom-built computer-based test, or is it something that you've kind of added to your system, or is it something that you've built on your own, the computer-based test?
Yes, let me clarify. For the moment, we only have evaluation, like assessments that we have built ourselves, and they're only considered as optional or like supplementary information that is given to the shipping companies. They're not considered as certified or like certificates or trainings that companies could pay for. This is part of our roadmap, and is probably going to be something that we launch in the next 12 to 18 months.
Brilliant. Yeah. So, Agapitos, I think it all comes down to funding. Congrats on your funding, your funding exploits. But I see that you sent me your Crunchbase profile, and I think it's brilliant that I think you've already done a pre-seed and I think of seed as well.
We concluded our pre-seed a year ago, and we just signed a term sheet to get additional funding. We went out the market and fundraised, and we got much more interest than we actually expected, to be honest. And we're very humbled and honored to have convinced some great venture capitalists to join the Seafair boat. And we're going to be able to announce our new funding round in the next month.
Awesome, awesome. That's really good to know. Congrats.
Thanks so much. Thank you all.
And you know, one thing that I wanted to touch upon just before we went into the funding things of it, how long did it take for you from your idea in your head, and you know, when you said you were a consultant in your job, you said, right down to getting the product in July 2020? Well, how long did it take? And what was the in a very quick way, if you can, how was the journey like? I mean,
there are several phases that need to be broken down, I think. One has to do with like identifying the opportunity and setting the hypothesis that someone needs to validate to be convinced. At that point, I ran some digital ads to see how we can acquire digitally seafarers and shipping companies. It does not necessarily tell you if you're going to be able to find the seafarers. It kind of gives you an indication or a signal of how much it will cost you to find those people. It's super important in marketplaces. Like, make sure that you understand the market, how big it is, fly to the Philippines, work with agencies. You need to know how the work is done before you decide to launch something like this. Talk to the customers, talk to the potential users that you'll have. I would say that this process can take, the minimum would be at least a month, and up to 3 months to validate hypothesis would be pretty legit, I think. Once you're convinced and you pull the trigger, the most difficult thing you have to do is to understand who are the key people that you need to bring on. And how will I won't call it org chart, but how would the collaboration work with those people? Exactly. And hiring takes a lot of time. Like, you need to make sure that you hire the right people and that you have good collaboration there. So I would add another 3 months for that. And then I wouldn't call anything an MVP. I would call everything an MVP. So like, people have this MVP roadmap of like 3 months in terms of like building a product. This is far too much. You need to have smaller iterations, and you need to build something that someone needs to see and give you feedback. Like, I see many startups that might take 6 to 9 months to build an initial product and then take it to the market. And I'm only talking about venture-backed full-time teams, right? I think this is too much. And obviously, like, we are a digital marketplace, so our product is not extremely complex. So we have the benefit of like bringing to the market something that is simpler. But I would urge everybody in the industry to like be ashamed of the first version that they put in front of the eyes of the clients. You need that feedback from users. Like, go to users that you know, and you're going to be more okay in terms of like presenting something embarrassing. But do not take too much time building without getting feedback.
That's
so
absolutely correct.
Define those.
Yeah, I completely agree as well.
But what do you call an MVP then?
You call an MVP
how would you define it?
Yes, you call an MVP a sketch that you print on paper and you can take in front of the eyes of someone to get feedback. You then go and take this sketch that you put on paper and then transform it into a digital form. It could be a Google form, it could be an Airtable form. You could literally go and build something that is built on a no-code solution. And then once you get the feedback, you go and like do all those iterations that would take you would still need 3 or 6 months, but you would have received like those 5 to 10 iterations that are going to make you so much more smart in terms of what you need. We essentially had MVPs for everything we built, not only from customer-facing stuff, but even for our databases. In the beginning, we built everything using an Airtable database. It obviously broke at some point, but it helped us move faster, and like getting that feedback from customers, unique. The most important thing that startups need to do.
Absolutely. Yeah. Prototyping and validating in this sense is extremely important. I'm just asking you about the MVP because, you know, there are a lot of interpretations where it is. So for me, it's mainly something that someone would pay at least €1 to use it.
Okay.
So there are a lot of definitions. That's why I asked, because now we are on the same page. We understand what you mean.
I see. That's interesting. I've never heard of this definition, but I kind of like it. For me, an MVP is something that shows your intention of what is the future functionality that you can present, and helps someone tell you whether they need this functionality or not. So it's kind of depicting what you have in your mind into a scheme, or like a sketch, not a scheme. And helping them help you, like helping them, asking them for feedback on something concrete and not abstract.
Yeah, true. Now, so I think you, in terms of a short-term plan, in terms of a long-term plan, you already have your in your words, MVPs in place in terms of what you want to do. For example, I'm thinking of, I'm again, it might look slightly off topic, but let's say if you want to open an office in India, let's say, are you going to open your own office and have your own team there, or would you actually go with a manning agency or a like you said, a company similar to yours to get work done from here? So that is one thing, and in terms of a short term and also a long term goal. I mean, what would be how would that merge together in terms of having offices all around the world? I mean, technically, you're looking at your second biggest market as South Asia, in terms of your product right now.
Sure. So when we went to Ukraine and the Philippines, we had this decision to make, which is build versus buy. Build is like opening your own office, and buy is essentially working with a partner. In both cases, we saw that our main value add to clients is our ability to vet. And what is extremely important to us is making sure that all the data inputs that we have from seafarers are, let's say, uniform, like they have the same structure. We were a bit hesitant and afraid that if we started working with a partner, like another manning agency, we would get some noise in the data in terms of, like, we've seen some manning agencies deciding to adjust or edit seafarer CVs to make them more attractive. So if we had this gatekeeper, it would have been difficult for us to deliver the final value that we want to our clients. So we decided to go to like the tough way and build our own offices to make sure that we can control the transparency and the quality of the data that is coming in. Again, we cannot control the information that the seafarer is giving us, but we're building technology to be able to challenge that information and kind of ask them in a smart way, like, are we sure that this is the way it was done? And just to mention from my side, I don't mean that all manning agencies have this weird processes or like shady processes. But it's just that we were, I wouldn't even claim that most do. We do hear that in the market. I'm not in a position to know. We just were not confident that we were able to vet the agencies. And just to have this internal peace of mind, we decided to go the tough way and open our own office.
Makes sense.
And this is probably what we're going to do in India, but we will have to, when we go to India, but we will have to assess that at that point of time. If we have a better ability to evaluate or vet the agencies, or things have changed, the decision might be different. I'll have to answer that question at that moment.
Yeah, no, because in terms of scalability, I mean, when you're going to multiple, I mean, India's Philippines is centrally focused in Manila, so you can pretty much have one office there and you're done with. But a country like India, something like China, Japan, you're talking about seafarers coming in and actually having nodal offices. Every manning company has nodal offices. So, in terms of scalability, it might be, you might have to come up with that vetting process for your backend and, maybe make that more robust.
We do have offices in the capital, not the capitals, like the maritime capitals of each country, but we don't expect seafarers to show up in the office, like not in Odessa, not in Manila, and not in like whatever the location is in India. So essentially, we wouldn't need those nodal offices. Like human interaction is great, and it's important to know your seafarers, but we really believe in the digital tools that technology has given us, and this is the way that we're building this company.
Awesome.
What are other use? I'm sorry, Raul.
No, please, go ahead.
I'm just thinking, in terms of scaling, you want to be that J-type unicorn. And there are that many seafarers in the world, and I guess you would have down your pipeline more use cases that you would like to introduce into the system and provide more value so that you get more scaling. And there are a lot of problems in crewing and that are not solved. So I very often hear, problems like, tell me which is the seafarer that I can get fastest on my boat, on my ship, I'm sorry, with this set of certificates and so on. Or other things that you might know. So if it is possible to describe to us what is down the pipeline and how you see scaling in the future.
This is a very good question, and we've been asked this a lot. We plan to go as deep as possible in maritime crewing. We love everything maritime related, but we're just planning to focus on crewing. And once we solve the sourcing and vetting, we want to focus on how we develop the seafarers, how we help them become better in their jobs, how we can help them become more effective on the vessel, how we can take the data from the engine to help train them on the spot, how we can help them fix an engine by giving them some digital information while they are there and there's the problem, there's an incident on the vessel. So essentially anything that helps the future of work on the vessel and help seafarers become more effective in their job is something that is part of our roadmap. And on the same point of time, it's helping shipping companies make smarter crewing decisions, understand who are the people they need, how much they should pay them, how they can boost their retention, how they can improve their OPEX. These are all things that are tied. We see this as one problem. It's the maritime crewing problem. And we're planning to go as deep as possible, gather all this data, help the two major actors, shipping companies and seafarers, become more effective into what they're doing. So this is our plan in terms of how we plan to expand in the future.
Sounds like a great plan, because definitely training and helping people do their job better is underserved. I think it's a very unique area that you're targeting.
We're super excited about it. We literally cannot wait for what's coming up.
Awesome. And the fact that you already have the interest from the investor side, it just adds to that. I mean, in 45 minutes, I already have a whole bunch of ideas floating in my head for Seafair. So I can only imagine what you guys must be going through. All right.
Amazing. So I guess we're going to connect after the call.
For sure. Why not? I mean, in every bit sense. I mean, like I said, we want to build our own incubator arm. We are people who have a background in dealing with startups, our own startups. In fact, Dimitris has his own startup. Prithvi well, Dimitris will talk about it later. But yeah,
Marine Startups is a startup, right? So
Marine Startups is a startup. But yes, so Agapitos, I mean, you're a guy who left I'd say a stable 9-to-5 job and moved on to creating your own startup. So do you have an advice for a budding entrepreneur, somebody who's just got an idea, somebody who's already pre-seed, somebody who's already has an MVP by whatever definition? Do you have any advice or any kind of opinion, any kind of any snippets that they can use? They can. I mean, ultimately our focus is also that. I mean, to get the industry flowing with innovation so that it catches up with the needs of the industry. So yeah, anything from your end on that?
Especially for the maritime industry that poses so many roadblocks into people, and also many people don't know how exciting it is and how the problems, how abundant they are, and there are so many opportunities there.
Exactly.
Yes. The one thing I think I need to communicate is that it's great getting into...
sorry, before I allow you to talk, we have Chris here, Dr. Christopher Clott. He's presently in Texas. He's joined us. Chris, this is Agapitos.
No, I'm back in Chicago. Yes, always on the move. Hey, I echo just what Demetrius said and what Raul said. So carry on, please.
Amazing, great. Thanks for joining, by the way. So the one key message I'd like to convey is it's extremely difficult to work at an early stage startup, and the industry is not waiting for a new startup to come in and solve the problems. Most of the startups need to hustle, and in most cases, be it hiring, be it business development, anything, you'd probably expect to hear like 99 no's before you get one yes. So people should only do this if it really means something unique to them. You need to be extremely committed and determined to continue doing what you do and enjoy your day while you hear 99 no's before you hear the one yes. At the end of the journey, the process might be extremely rewarding, and I'm not talking about like financial benefits because these are extremely rare, but like having the feeling that you're building something and you're adding value and you're doing it with your own unique values and guiding principles and you're helping people around the world can be extremely rewarding, more rewarding than any other job can be. But it is extremely difficult, and people need to know this. They need to do this internal questions and reflections to understand, do I really want to go this path and have all these difficulties? Will the rewards be outweigh the difficulties? And if the answer is yes, well then great. This is going to be super exciting. But if it does not feel right, probably have to wait because it's going to be a rough and rewarding journey.
Awesome. Thanks, Agapitos. And I won't get into too much of the funding bit of it and what stage you're at, because it's all in the open with Crunchbase, and you've already told us that you're coming up with some good news about the seed round in a month's time. So we'll wait for that, and hopefully our viewers and our readers can then capture that as well, and we'll drop in your Crunchbase profile also on our website as a part of this. I'm a Crunchbase nut. I'm on Crunchbase probably 2 to 3 hours a day, so that's why I'm going on Crunchbase. But again, thank you, Agapitos. Thank you so much. I know you've got to run for another call and you're requesting for an early closure. And yeah, we'd like to thank you from Marinesat. You've met the whole team now, and look forward to tie up in some form or the other. Look forward to be part of your journey in some form or the other. And thank you so much.
Amazing.
Thank you very much. It was great. All the information that you provided.
Yes.
Great meeting you as well.
Same here. Super inspiring initiative, the one you have. And let's please stay in touch. I'd love to.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Agapitos.
Bye-bye.